Welcome ladies and gentlemen to another Call of Duty Warzone video. In this video we'll be comparing the stats between the MP7 and the new ISO to determine which weapon is the best in Season 5 of Warzone. Before we can continue the video, 97% of you watching this video right now are not subscribed to the channel. We are so close to reaching 3,000 subscribers, so if you haven't already, subscribe with notifications turned on and drop a like so you get these stats before anyone else does. So let's get into the stat breakdown between the ISO and the MP7. So in blue we have the damage ranges with our recommended class setups on them. So we will ignore these for now and return to it later on in the video, but for now we're going to be looking at both guns with no attachments on them. Starting with the damage profile for the head, the MP7 outperforms the ISO, but in terms of the body damage, there really isn't any difference. The important thing to note here is that the drop off for the ISO is massively better in this category. This is great if you want an SMG that would hold its damage ability in longer ranges. So you can see that with the drop off that the ISO has almost double the damage drop off range of the MP7 despite dealing less damage. Next we will take a look at the rate of fire. So the MP7 is the better performer here, shooting at 968 rounds per minute, while the ISO does 900 rounds per minute, but in most cases, unless you're very long range, the time to kill for the MP7 is still better because of the damage that it deals. The ADS speed for the ISO is better at 167 milliseconds instead of 200 milliseconds, which is the ADS for the MP7. This means that aiming down sight is a decent option with the ISO, and it'll be easier to get your shots off initially with the ISO more than the MP7. The reload speed for the ISO is a bit longer at 1.7 seconds instead of 1.49 seconds. This wouldn't be a problem if the clip capacity wasn't so small. Remember that unless you're running an extended mag on this gun, the gun's magazine will run out very fast. So we've covered the gun stats, but we haven't covered what the best attachments are for both guns, so let's do that, starting with the MP7. So for the MP7, you're going to want to use the monolithic suppressor for sound suppression, the FSS recon barrel, the 5mm laser for improving that hip fire, the Merc foregrip to control recoil, and the 50 round mags for a situation where there's more than one enemy. And to replicate something similar for the ISO, you want the FSS Nightshade barrel, the 5MW laser, the ISO collapsible stock, the Merc foregrip, and the 50 round mags. And now with these class setups, if we look back at the stat page, we'll see that the damage ranges have increased for the ISO and the MP7 because the barrels being used, but the ISO still outperforms the MP7 with its drop off regardless. Something which also changes is the hipfire and recoil, and we'll take a look at this now. So in pink we have the MP7's hipfire and recoil, and for the ISO we have the exact same in blue. So what we see here is that both recoil patterns aren't bad by any means, both with and without the attachments. However, it's clear to me that the MP7's recoil is better and that there is less horizontal recoil to control, but it shouldn't put you off the ISO too much as the MP7 is known for having a great recoil pattern. The hipfire pattern is quite similar between the two guns, but if we take into account that damage wise the ISO doesn't really perform well at close range, so you won't be using hipfire very often with this gun, and for that reason I would still give the hipfire to the MP7. So what gun is better? In my opinion, after analysing these stats, I would still say the MP7 is the better gun. SMGs are supposed to be used at closer ranges, and the ISO doesn't compare to the MP7 in that aspect, and that's something that I mentioned in my MP5 video also. I'd use the ISO if you want to deal damage at longer distances, as this gun does start to blur the lines between an SMG and an AR. That has been this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Remember to subscribe to help us reach our goal of 3,000 subscribers, and thanks for watching.